welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
Hey there, people. Hopefully you're sane still. Week, I don't know, 8 or 9.
900, it feels like.
In quarantine. I think there's people who are absolutely fine out there, and I think there are people who are, besides anyone who is still working, everyone who's not, I feel for you. It's my thoughts go with you. But if someone's sort of doing their job from home, I think there is the gamut of people going crazy, and people like me who's like, I don't ever want to see another person anyway, so I'm good.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in between.
Yeah. I still go to work every day, so I just don't see people when I go to work. So,
and that's even better.
I was going to say again, I am now to the point where when someone asks me a question, I do a search in my email, find the previous time I answered the question to them, and then forward it. It's just like I'm at that point.
Nice,
so.
That's good.
Yeah, well.
But anyway, I hope you're all doing good out there. I was going to say something else, but I don't remember what it was. Oh, you know what I did? I just discovered today. So I was cooking dinner. Yeah, we're taking turns cooking dinner around here. And I always ask Alexa to set a timer. This one's not called Alexa. I said set a 12-minute timer. And she's like, 12 minutes. And if while you're waiting, why not listen to a podcast? So I say, play the Regular Joe's podcast. And she says, Regular Joe's podcast from Apple Podcasts. Here you go, latest episode. So I recommend all you people out there, you could ask your Alexas to play the Regular Joe's podcast.
There you go. Another way to catch up on the show. I don't know
and
if we said it or not, but we're on YouTube now as well. So if anybody's been wanting to listen to our show, not watch, but listen to our show on YouTube, it's there now too.
Yeah, there is a lot of audio stuff on that platform. So anyway, talk to your Alexa about us. She'll fill you in, I guess. And I don't think it's only because I have it on my phone, right? I mean, that's just she has access to Apple Podcasts, I guess.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
There you go. So talk to your phone about us. What are we doing? Today we're talking about some finales. There were a couple. Some good, some bad, some I don't know. And we're going to talk about some more Star Wars stuff, believe it or not. It's always a topic. But let's go random. I know we both, two of you probably have the same thing. So I'll give it to Barry since he's claims
should
he's
we
that
just
guy.
should we just have a category that's who's going to be in Mandalorian? Should
Yeah,
that just be a should that now be a
nonstop,
segment? Okay.
Yeah, I thought that we had interesting news with Tamora Morrison coming back as Boba Fett, and then there was another announcement today beyond that one. But let's talk about him
Yeah,
first.
Do we
maybe.
believe all those?
Yeah.
Oh, make your announcement and then I'll ask that question.
Okay, so Tamora Morrison played Jango Fett, obviously, in Attack the Clones, was the prototype for all the clones. He is supposedly coming back to play Boba Fett, which, how we all feel about Boba Fett dying like a bitch in the Sarlacc pit, or apparently not dying like a bitch in the Sarlacc pit. So I did a little digging, just in case you're wondering, how is it possible that Boba Fett could have survived the Sarlacc pit?
And Tales of the Bounty Hunter, blah, 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 blah.
No.
Okay,
There's apparently
no.
a book by Chuck Wendig called Aftermath. And this is what it says in that book. I'm making no claims to having read this book, but the Sarlacc pit was critically injured by the explosion of Jabba's sail barge. Several of the creature's stoma tubes split open, and industrious Jawas were able to extract treasures from these tubes. Given Boba Fett wears Mandalorian armor, there is no reason to assume he couldn't have survived long enough to claw his way out of a stoma tube himself.
His armor is mostly a janitor's jumpsuit.
And his armor,
really
I
get
never would have thought his armor was made of Beskar. So,
no.
Yeah, and it belts. So
I give them all the credit for season 1, and I'm really looking forward to season 2, and I just hope this isn't a mistake. I believe they're doing it.
Do
I just
we
hope
know
it's not a mistake.
none of this is confirmed? Rosario Dawson's not confirmed.
Yeah, but I've been watching
Michael
a lot of
Biehn's
interviews with Dave Filoni
not
lately, and
confirmed.
he's not denying any of it either. So
Yeah, I wonder if they throw some things out and some will be true. I don't need to see Boba Fett.
no,
I would much rather. They're also saying that he's gonna same actor is gonna play Rex, and I would be much more into that. I think that could be really interesting.
well, I was just going to say, with the
That's a
other
long
announcement that they
time.
made today, it seems like if any of this is true, or if all of it's true, they are leaning into the whole Mandalorian, other storylines that they've had going about Mandalorians. Because then the other thing they announced today was that Katie Sackhoff is going to play a live-action Bo-Katan in season 2.
Which
So
makes
that
perfect
was-
sense because she was the last one known to have the dark saber,
Right.
and
That makes sense.
and now Gus Fring has it. So
Right.
And
but
where did she have it? In where
Rebels.
was she?
in Rebels,
In Rebels.
I just rewatched the whole Mandalorian thing this past weekend, and it's just so damn good. It's just perfect.
wait a minute.
Well, we will
the
talk more about
Mandalorian
that
thing. You
later.
mean about the Mandalorian the show or the
No,
arc?
I watched all 4 hours of the show again this weekend. I watched it,
Yeah.
half of it on Saturday and half of it on Sunday, and it's just it really is great. So, but yeah, those were the so we know about supposedly a Boba Fett, Ahsoka, a Bo-Katan, and then there's that Rex rumor, but I don't know. Who knows if that one's true or not? Who knows if any of it's true?
Yeah,
I think it should be Rex trying to pass himself off as Boba Fett because they can't confirm he's dead.
What would that do for anybody? First of all, Boba Fett.
He's trading on Boba Fett's rep. He's like wearing the armor, and then
He's a bitch. Why does
but when
he
he takes
wanna
it
be-
off,
he's
it's
not
actually Rex
famous.
because Boba
Well,
Fett
but
did
you know
die
what?
like a
I was
bitch.
thinking about this today. What if? Because I'm like, why after all these years is he still on Tatooine? But he might not have been. The fact is that we think when they killed Agent May, Fennec Shan, supposedly
dead.
killed her because she's not dead. That character that walked up to her had the same spurs boot sounds as Boba Fett. What if he's partners with her, and what if he just came back to Tatooine? Maybe he's tracking the Mandalorian and the child. So who knows? It doesn't necessarily mean that he's been on Tatooine this entire time. If it's him.
I want to see if they're going to show him. I want to see him crawl his way out of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, flashback.
Then I'll believe it.
You know that
But
whole sequence that they did where they trained the IG droid? That would be kind of cool if they went and did a flashback to how he survived that. And, that could be actually an interesting scene.
And just like he comes out and there's like the burning sail barge there, and he's just like, yeah,
Brian's
that's what I'm
on
saying.
the
That
other side
could
of
be
the
fun.
fence.
that's
that
it.
could be fun.
Yeah.
But Rex is twice Boba Fett's age in theory. Rex is all
Well,
stretched.
they've shown Rex in Rebels as a much older guy, heavier set with a beard.
And
they've already
Rebels
done
is
that.
still before Star Wars.
Just before Star Wars.
just before.
Yeah, and
So-
then
so Rebels is
this
only-
is
Is
It's like 8 years before or 10 years before. This is
10-ish
I'm sorry.
years,
Mandalorian's
okay.
about 10 years after Rebels.
yes. So I don't think that's a stretch. The other thing too is I think since he's the only clone trooper we know of with the chip taken out, right? I wonder if
Yep.
the chip's got something to do with their longevity.
Maybe.
The Order
I
66
mean, we know they age
could not be
faster, but-
might not be the only programming that's put in their heads. It could be their lifespan could be determined by that chip as well. So,
Well,
could have
although
a-
Rex, and if you think back to Rebels, Rex was with a couple of other clones that survived.
who also had the scars.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, that's our Mandalorian minute. Todd, what do you got?
that was totally what I had. So,
Oh, I knew everyone had that.
I'm,
okay.
I'm good with that. Go ahead.
On the other spectrum of entertainment,
Yeah, I assumed you'd be going here.
do you know where I'm going?
I know exactly where you're going.
What network are we going to?
Oh, network. Interesting. It's not where I thought you were going then. Please
Okay,
proceed.
well, here's where I'm going. So, everyone's fall season is all over the place, but it's not CBS. They're dying to give you quality entertainment. So they're rebooting The Equalizer with Queen Latifah as the Equalizer.
That's
This was
not
the
at all
first you've
what
heard of
I
this?
expected.
This was announced like 6 weeks ago.
It was?
Yeah.
I just saw it the other day.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, great, awesome.
I have nothing
That should be as
against Queen
successful
Latifah.
as the all-female Ghostbusters.
I just don't see her as the Equalizer. She's a fine singer. I don't know about her acting work other than Taxi, and she was in a
Does
Kevin
she still
James
sing
movie,
even?
but-
I'm not even sure if she still sings. I have no idea. Maybe she does.
But, really? I mean, geez, Louise. That's a problem.
I will
for me.
say, I will be optimistic. I probably won't watch the show, but I would be optimistic about it.
Probably
I think it's
Do you owe her money?
No, I just
I know that you're dying for
something I
entertainment.
saw
but-
her in that made me think she could pull this off, and I'm looking at IMDb right now and I can't figure out what it was, but
A fever dream, maybe?
it might well have.
I just
been.
don't see it, and it's not that she's a woman. It's not that she's not really an actress. She had a talk show that did very well. It's like I just don't see it. Anyway, so
Wow.
that, and they're also doing a series sequel to Silence of the Lambs, all about Clarice, which
Is
Yeah,
Latifah
saw
in that
that
one
too.
too?
no, it's some girl from some freeform show, but like these are things like, not that The Equalizer was great, but Silence of the Lambs was great. You really want to go there?
Nothing sacred though. So
Almost 30 years later. Anyway,
Did you
That was
watch
my
The
thing.
Equalizer back in the day? The actual original series?
sure. It wasn't great. The
It
idea
wasn't
was
great.
good.
I tell you, it started out interesting. They stretched the premise, and like I loved the weapons wall in the bathroom. You know, where the bathroom mirror
All
comes
that
up.
stuff was cool if you sort of just took some overweight old dude and replaced him with someone else. Would have been much cooler.
He wasn't an overweight old dude. He was actually a very trim British guy, and he was.
I don't know about that, was he?
Yeah, he was. Edward Woodward, yeah, he was good. And the best thing was, like, you totally just underestimated this guy. And that was the thing. It was like, I loved him kicking the shit out of people and stuff because everybody thought, like, he's just this old dude.
It was very Mr. Miyagi looking when
Yes.
he beat people up, though, because
Yeah.
it's just not realistic.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I liked it back in the day. And
That's a show that there's no way that show holds up.
I would guarantee
Oh,
that. Remember what
for
his gun was?
He carried a PPK, I
did
think,
not.
and he also carried a Desert Eagle.
Right.
When he got serious.
It was not a PPK.
What was
It
it?
was a SIG 220, the little SIG that looks just like a PPK.
The 380 SIG?
Yep.
But when he had meant serious business, he
Oh yeah,
pulled
he took
out
out
the Desert Eagle.
he took out the Desert Anvil. Yes,
Desert Eagle is like 6 pounds of steel,
it's
and it's just
ridiculous.
the most ridiculous
It's
gun in
ridiculous.
the world.
I have fired that in 50 caliber, and it's insane.
I fired it in 357. It's just not.
Yeah,
It's just so. You know, the old adage is a gun is an extension of a man's penis, and they made this to be like, guess what, dudes? You're going to have the biggest, heaviest one there is.
okay. So you got to look at Kindergarten Cop, where Arnold Schwarzenegger pulls up his pant leg, and then produces Desert Eagle out of an ankle holster.
Nice.
And it was like, I saw that, and I'll never forget that. I'm thinking, like, yeah, anyone who actually had a Desert Eagle ankle holster would have had a pronounced limp because it's about 6.5 pounds.
Yeah. Crazy. Anyway,
So is that all you had, Dave?
that's all I had. What else did you think I had?
Tom Cruise filming a movie on the space station, International Space Station.
I didn't hear that. I have
didn't
not
hear
hardly
this?
watched any TV this
Okay,
week.
so then it was rumored last week, and then this past Tuesday, the head of NASA confirmed they are working with Tom Cruise to make a movie on the International Space Station.
Who else could do it other than Tom Cruise? Nobody. He's awesome.
Yeah. And then a NASA spokesperson confirmed to CNN Business that Cruise will launch into space and stay aboard the space station. So they are putting Tom Cruise in space.
Best. Is he going to do
thought
the
for sure
two
that was
Mission
yours.
Impossibles first?
Maybe it is Mission. Maybe it's a sequence for Mission Impossible. Could you imagine? He's the space diver in the red spacesuit.
I know, right? That's and honestly, it'd be him actually doing it because he's just nuts.
Oh yeah,
but,
he's crazy.
I mean, it costs. I guess in the scheme of a $300 million movie, it doesn't cost that. It costs you what, $20 million if a private citizen wanted to go there. If you're able to do it. So I guess
right now the only people that can put anybody up there are the Russians. And then I know I mean, obviously SpaceX and everybody's working on it, but the only ones that are actually doing it are the Russians. So, but
that's
apparently
awesome.
they shot something in
that.
2002. They shot an IMAX movie up there that Tom Cruise narrated.
Yes.
There
Okay.
you go.
So I'm going to say right now there's a 1 in 7 chance he dies in space. I'm just saying. No.
I don't think anything can kill him.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
You want to
he's
take
gotta
that? You want to
deal
take
with
that action?
Scientologists
Whatever
won't
it
let him
is
die.
whatever he's doing, it's gonna be awesome. That's all I know. So I'm glad you told me. I'm sorry I didn't know that. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, so that,
So,
and I have actually, I'm going to rattle off 2 more quick ones, and then we'll get out of random. But Hamilton is coming to Disney Plus 15 months early.
Yep.
Apparently,
they were-
makes no sense.
They were supposed to release it to theaters, and I guess they're saying it's done. Why not? So they're putting it July 3rd. This is the filmed stage production with Lin Miranda in it.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's the
Miranda.
original cast. It's
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
it's the filmed stage production. Okay, that's
Yes.
no big deal. It's not like it's not like $100 million movie that they.
No, but I mean, they put some money into it, and it's apparently was supposed to come out theatrically 15 months after that, and they've just said
That's
it's
weird.
done. Why not? And then the comforting story for the week, the thing that makes me feel like it's all going to be okay because of this story. So everybody be prepared.
Wait, this isn't the Tom Cruise story because that makes me feel like it's all.
No,
gonna be
this
okay.
is it's so much more.
and with the
comforting.
Hamilton makes me feel good. So
No,
boy,
this
you're,
is so much
Barry,
more
you're hitting all
comforting than
bases
both
here.
of those. James Cameron says the Avatar sequel is still on track to come out in 2021, even with the delays from coronavirus.
Ugh, thank God.
And
Only one
the
of them?
production
I
costs
need-
for the sequels in production. Have you heard this, Barry?
No.
Okay. For the sequels in production, the production costs are supposed to be roughly $1 billion.
Yeah, it'll make it back, and then some.
It will never. No one cares about. I like James Cameron.
I love James Cameron. He's made some of my
Avatar.
favorite movies of all time. But
It's a 10-year-old movie, and no one cares about it anymore.
I just, like, to me, this is like, oh, I'm going to make an announcement just because nobody's talking about my stupid movies and I need to say something. So, hey, I know everybody's delayed, but my movie's still going to come out on time. Yeah, okay.
But knowing him, he could come out with something that could just be awesome. You never know. He could.
Listen,
he's certainly one of the guys who could pull that off.
He's like JJ. I'll never count him out because, he's made some incredible movies, and some of my favorites. Yeah. I mean, Terminator 2 and Aliens and with The Abyss right there. 3 of my favorite movies.
Titanic.
Yeah. I mean, look at how successful Avatar was and groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It's just.
He could do it.
He should have made a sequel 10 years ago and people might have still cared.
That's true. You know who is almost as awesome as James Cameron and Tom Cruise? A close third is Fanboy Collectibles.
Yes.
Check those guys out. And that's good company, so don't take that as an insult. Some new Batman stuff, Todd. There's something for everyone here. And Barry, I'll let you go. Iron Studios Batman and Robin, which looks pretty cool. Sideshow
really
premium format Batman on a gargoyle with his long cape that's 22 inches tall.
I have
You gotta have that.
I have a growing collection of Batman on a gargoyle statues. I think I actually need this.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. But there's Pops and there's Hot Toys. And speaking of Hot Toys, Barry, I'll let you go.
There's a Hot Toys Captain Rex figure that just looks unbelievable.
Speaking of Rex.
It's like Todd and I were talking last week about, because they've taken pre-orders already for a different clone that watching Clone Wars just made me want that figure, and I'm so glad I didn't try to pre-order it, because once I saw Rex, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. So I can definitively tell you guys that Troy is working at the store every day. He's there by himself, so he's social distancing, and he's shipping. Okay. And I did talk to him because I pre-ordered Rex, and
there you go. Of course,
he told me that they're doing, actually doing really well because they're doing a ton of mail order and all over the world.
Yeah,
so
sure.
They're there shipping every day. So if you guys are looking for something, or you just need, you can't go to stores, you feel like getting something, order on the web or call those guys.
Mandalorian pops. It doesn't have to be giant things. You can get anything from a pop to a giant 24-inch statue. So, and everything in between.
Did you realize this came with the Ahsoka Legion helmet?
Yeah, you should have known that because I texted it to you yesterday. But
I totally didn't read that. That is awesome.
that figure's awesome. That figure's awesome.
Does it come with 3 heads then, or 2 helmets and 1 head?
It's got a head and 2 helmets. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Okay, weakening.
Anyway, Todd will be ordering during the next segment.
Yeah, Troy,
so check those guys out, fanboycollectibles.com. They're there shipping stuff out. You heard it firsthand. So tell them the regular Joes sent you. Okay. So within the past couple of weeks, there were 2 shows that I know we were all watching because we talked about it. That finished up, one with a series finale, one with a season finale. Those were Homeland and Westworld. There'll probably be spoilers, but so if you haven't watched them and you plan to, go watch them. But let's start with Homeland, because Homeland's interesting. I guess it's been gone for almost a year.
Yep.
Right? Probably. And we've talked about this before, so we won't dwell on it. But there were a bunch of good seasons. There's one really horrible season. Then they came back last year with a solid, really good season. And then I feel this year they had a very good season as well.
Yeah, I think a good season and a good way to wrap it up, too. I think it ended well, which is nice when it sticks the landing. Unless one of you thinks it didn't stick the landing.
I felt the end.
Todd and I think it sucked.
I think the end stretched credibility a lot. I think they drifted a little bit back into don't think too hard about it territory. I think they did a good job with it. I think the ending ultimately was satisfying. I think there were some things in there though that were just a little like her opening the black box, plugging into the black box, because you can do that with your MacBook Pro, but plugging into the black box, then losing it, and then there's any credibility whatsoever to what someone says is on there. It's like once the seal's broken on that, it's kind of like, what does it matter who has it? Because anyone can, so basically the world is now taking Russia's word for this huge political thing, and it's like, I didn't buy that. That was probably the big thing.
I don't know.
Like all of a sudden, Russia is credible when they're releasing information that they're the only ones that have access to.
Yeah, I didn't even.
They would have
given up.
The next scene is give us the box and we'll verify it. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I was a little at first I'm like, I had a problem with the ending, but the ending did fit Carrie, who's freaking all over the place, It was a bit of a stretch. I'm like, she's never, spoiler, she's never going to kill Saul. And I was hoping,
but she wouldn't leave him alone with 2 Russian operatives who were willing to pretend they would kill him.
Well,
and just
look,
take
Carrie's
off,
personality,
off in an unrealistic amount of time and go to Tel Aviv. But leave him.
Carrie's personality has always been do whatever she thinks is the right thing at all costs.
I agree. What I'm saying, if she's not willing to kill Saul, why would she possibly believe these guys wouldn't kill him or wouldn't black bag him and take him somewhere?
Because they're Russian soldiers and they do what they're told.
Yeah, they had an agreement.
Yeah, they've had a lot of agreements through the course of the last 5 episodes that didn't seem to matter with anybody.
Yeah, I know.
She got the needle in the neck. It's just, yeah.
I wanted her to tell Saul the whole story, and then they fake his death. But if you, which would have been, but
Yes.
you want to know, Carrie does not think logically. That's one of her deals. She sort of gets to the end of, in I guess the right way, more or less, but it's a crazy. It's always been.
I'm not sure she even gets there by doing
there.
the right thing. I mean, she does a lot of wrong things because she's a by whatever means necessary type person. I mean, look at all the things that happened even in this season and how she took advantage of that other female CIA agent and I mean and all the people that died in the wake of that, and but none of that mattered to her because she was a singular focus.
About halfway through this season, I came to the conclusion she's been misdiagnosed and she's not bipolar. She's actually a sociopath because
she's got a lot of problems.
She's got a lot of problems, and she's got a very end justifies the means attitude.
Oh, big time.
But like I said, and I think this goes back to, as I've said before,
that's
the
why
key
she was
weakness
such a
in the
good
show
asset to Saul, right? I mean, that's why
is
Saul.
That two of the showrunners cut their teeth on 24, okay, and still have this thing in the back of their head where they've got to about every 20 minutes interject something going terribly wrong so that they can then work from there. That I guess is what my central problem with that is. You could have trimmed the end 3 episodes off this, wrapped this up earlier. Max didn't need to go out the way Max did. I mean, it's just like.
But I think he did.
It mattered to Carrie.
They needed things that pushed Carrie to the point where you thought she could actually switch sides, or maybe she had been turned, and you needed the things to push her there. And if you really look at it objectively, Saul knew that she was not ready to do this, and he also was a singular focus by whatever means necessary guy.
I'm not blaming her character entirely. I'm also saying he would not have done what he did. I mean, pulling her out of the nut house,
Saul's like,
and putting her back into work. Plus the fact, okay, here's one last thing. You are charged in court with being accessory to the murder of the President of the United States, but then they just let you go in the meantime. They're going to say, hey, just kind of drive around, do what you want, get in a plane, fly to Tel Aviv, do whatever you'd like. We'll get back to you when we get around to trying this case. Okay? That was a little implausible. Okay?
I'll give you that.
I mean,
yeah, and look, of all the places in the world to fly into, Israel is not an easy one to get in and out of.
This is what I'm saying.
Under any
this
circumstances.
I don't know why they
I'm going
couldn't
to
have
grab
put
the
this
fake
woman somewhere
passport
else.
that I've had since I worked for the CIA and just go to Israel. It's that's what I'm saying. The other thing is it takes.
It's almost like that Monty Python episode where she leaves and it's just I'll be right back and goes across the mountains and through the river and all that crazy stuff.
She's there in like what seems like 4 or 5 hours. And
look, they definitely took some shortcuts, but I feel like they at least got you to a place where the stakes were high enough that Carrie might have actually done what she did to Saul, in order for the to save or to avoid literally World War III.
It was a little much, but it was a good ride, and then in the end, now she's literally living a life that she does not want to live to sort of repay one of her wrongs, which is even crazy. That's only a crazy person.
She's living
a
life she does not want to live. I mean, seriously, she hasn't been comfortable anywhere. This is what she lives for. I think she's perfectly happy with this. And while we're at it, okay, you're in the basement of the UN. You can call Saul and strategize on what to do, but you can't call the effing UN security police. Okay.
No, I know.
Also,
I was thinking that too.
You happen to be carrying
before
a
you
gun
even go there,
while you're
Todd.
inside. You happen to be carrying a gun while you're inside the UN, and you know what? The Russians are too. It doesn't work that way.
All right, but before you even get there would have been absolutely no cell service in the basement of that building. None.
It's the UN. A lot of secret shit goes on. They may, but again, the whole.
That is a 100-year-old building in Manhattan. They're in a sub basement. There's no cell service.
No, but what I'm saying is they may have like booster cells or something. I could believe that, but I'm saying it would have made a lot more sense for them to not be able to make a phone call and her to talk the dude into it, as opposed to calling Saul and saying, give her the gun. I mean, it's like,
oh, I know.
The other thing is, you got a 14-round clip and you got 3 guys outside. Okay.
You got to check your brain at the door for some of this stuff.
Call for security and keep barricading the door. I mean, it's just.
Well, he didn't want to shoot the Russian guys.
No, but if they're trying to kill you, you kind of don't have a choice.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm with you 100%.
Look, and you know what? And the reason I say I felt like it stuck the landing was that they didn't wrap it up in a neat bow. They didn't make Carrie out to be a Russian spy, which I really, after all this time, didn't want her to be. And they didn't give her this super happy ending. And they didn't kill Saul. Like, I felt like that they found a way, kind of like the ending of The Americans. They found a way to get the people where they all needed to be. And shit, like, you know, all right, so Carrie seemed to be fairly happy living the life she's living, but it's clearly not what she would have wanted.
I don't think this ended. This season was really good up to like the last 4 episodes. I think they flailed around a lot. It became very implausible. I think the last episodes of The Americans were far superior to this. I do think they wrapped it up somewhat nicely. I'm okay with how it ended. Ultimately, you know, I'm fine with her being there, and then basically, you know, I also don't think for a second they would have trusted her with any information that's worthwhile, but that's also, again...
But she spent 2 years apparently proving herself to them.
Yeah, right. It's again,
it
because
was
the Russians are gullible.
Stretch, but
and that's what I'm saying. It wasn't as good as last season. It's far better than the show at its worst. And I think, like I said, I think they ended it okay. I'm really glad they didn't kill Saul. That would have just...
they could.
I was, you know...
it was touch and go, though. I wouldn't put it past her.
Oh, I would not... I mean,
them.
It's again, she had this end justifies the means thing. And...
I do think if she was going to kill him, she would have done it herself and not let them do it. I think that she would have probably done it herself and been tortured by it.
I was actually surprised. I really thought he was a gunner.
Oh, no. I didn't think she would, but I also totally called what he said to her. Okay? I mean, I guess he said 3 words. I said 2. I said, he's going to look at her. He's going to say F you. Okay? And, it's, I mean, I like spy stories. I like well-crafted spy stories. This was not that. This was designed to be a lot more action and just kind of like, you know, and I could get that. I gotta say, what's his name? I forget the actor's name. Playing young Saul was Boy Meets World. I forget what the actor's name is.
Is that who that is?
Yes, yeah, that's the kid from Boy Meets World.
Oh, I didn't know.
Who played, a younger version of Mandy Patinkin in another show like 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
It worked out so well that they did
That's
that
funny.
instead of de-aging him. I was watching this and I was thinking, boy, I would totally watch a prequel with 80s Saul.
Maybe they'll do that. That's
They can't call it Better Call Saul because that's spoken for. But that could be kind of cool, like an 80s era, you know, Atomic Blonde era show with Saul.
Yeah, it could be
around.
similar to The Americans.
Maybe that's where they're going with that. But you've got to get what's Carrie Elways and
Princess Buttercup. Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be so. Would that not be awesome? Get them all in there somewhere. Yeah, but that's again, funny. I think he is, that character is one of the best characters on TV. I think he was consistent to who he was. He had I don't think he had unrealistic faith in her. He knew exactly who she was and what she was capable of the whole time. He both supported her and exploited her. And
yeah, there are times when he's like, I need some crazy shit that is just going to get the thing done, and I know there's going to be problems from A to B, A to Z.
Knew, and like I said, but he also was, like I said, I really like that character. No one accomplishes what he's accomplished without using unconventional means, and she was his unconventional means, and that always worked for me, and that made sense. And I thought that was well done. There's a lot in here that was good. part of me believed up until the last minute, okay, that Brody was going to show up. That the Iranians had faked his death. I'm telling you, I thought this
really?
for like
that would have come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it would have been
6
crazy.
years. For like 6 years, you know, the whole, because I mean, she was like 200 yards away, or 200, maybe 300 feet away when he was hung. Okay.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, that would have been.
I know,
crazy.
I know that, but I'm saying it could have been faked.
That would have taken all of that gravity out of that whole situation, though.
But it would, yeah. I would not put it beyond this show. Okay. So,
Yeah, that would
anyways,
have been interesting. Anyway,
and they did
so
use
let us know
the
what you
clip
think.
from him in the opening too, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. You're a fan. I think 9 years, seasons.
8 seasons.
You know,
8 seasons over 9 years.
And, you know, I think one crappy one, but a solid show all around, except for that one season. Okay, now, the next one we're going to talk about is, first of all, if anyone has any clue what this show is about, please let us know.
Well, I made a statement at the
Westworld.
beginning of the season that I would like to retract. I said something after, like, the second episode where I said to you guys, it seems like they're doing something more straightforward. It seems like it's going to, you know, make more sense. And I think by the end of the second episode, I had completely changed my opinion on that.
I do think
we're talking about
they
Westworld,
were
by
a
the
little
way,
more
yeah.
We're on to
straightforward.
Westworld, yeah.
Yes.
It still is nutty. I don't know, you know.
Okay, I'll say this. Okay, visually, I think the show is amazing.
Oh my God, I love the
Sure.
they really went out of their way.
If
with-
you let
with
go
their-
of any pretense
the
that you're going to
locations.
understand what the hell's happening and just let it wash over you and just absorb it for what it is, there's some really amazing shit in there. They have a near future kind of thing that just balances really, really well. You know, they've got enough technology where you can sit there and say, yeah, this is, you know, an indeterminate amount of future, but there's there's big technological advances, but at the same time, it's not hyper futuristic looking. You know,
But the locations were great. Some of the helicopter things were awesome. That makes sense. They're like drones.
Yeah.
Why not have
Yeah, the
helicopters
drones were
that
great.
are like
The cars,
drones?
the self-driving cars were great. A lot of the tech was great. And I really did think that maybe they were going for a more straightforward, easier to comprehend story after the first couple of episodes. But then it really just went sideways again. And I just don't understand what the hell this show is really like.
I'm with you.
I couldn't follow
And
it.
I really tried to watch it and say to myself, in sort of a sentence or two, what are they trying to do? What's her face?
Dolores?
Evan Rachel Wood, or whatever her name is.
Dolores and Maeve are the two main.
Dolores is basically like, I'm going to get back to the people who made me and abused me, and she's doing it by any means necessary, and that's sort of it, the overarching thing. And then there's just a lot of more complicated stuff in there.
Right, if that
So
had
I
been
really
it, if
tried
it had
to-
just been a revenge story and she recruited, you know, a human to help her do that, that would have. But then it was. I didn't even fully understand when they made the revelation that she had downloaded her own personality into all those different hosts. Like,
Yes.
I'm like, wait, what? They're all
I thought that was
Dolores?
kind of cool, and that was
But
like,
I
there's
didn't
no way
even fully
they
get
can-
it.
But the thing that made it weird, it would have been cool if she did that, but then those hosts' own personalities started to meld. That
No,
makes
they started
sense.
forming. They evolved from that base of her personality. They had different experiences, and it'd be like.
But if it's her sort of
right
chip in them, it didn't make sense.
And then they moved on and had other experiences. I didn't have as much problem with that. A book series I really like is about a guy whose basically consciousness is cloned, and then they keep making AIs based on this, and each one evolves differently, and they end up like having to work together, and they don't get along really well because they're too close together, but not, but separate. It's
It's the side stories here that get really confusing. I get the through line. The whole guy who made the Insight, or whatever the hell that thing is called, got to be confusing. What was
and
Bernard's
he's trying to
whole
take over
deal?
the company, and then you get the Ed Harris storyline, and I'm with you. If it had been just a straightforward story, and then you've got all the maid stuff.
So they took it up to another level. They went outside of the park, and then they took it up to the point where we realized that not only were the beings in the park being controlled and being driven by other people's, wishes and desires, all humanity was.
Yeah.
And so it went from being this effort to like free, those AI consciousnesses to freeing basically everyone, cutting everyone loose from, I get it metaphorically. I understand. I think Facebook's evil. But there was just so much going on there.
And all of that is fine. That's all an interesting story. But just don't tell the story in a convoluted, over-your-head way to make you feel cool. Just tell the story. You had a lot of going on. That was plenty. Make it a little clearer.
I went into the second season with the idea that, okay, I'm not going to make sense of this. It's just going to look cool. I doubled down on that with this season. I stopped trying to make sense of it and just let it kind of, like I said, just kind of absorbed. There's some really cool shit in here. Trying to reconcile it, trying to make it make sense.
But it also doesn't even fit with, not that the name matters, but it's so far past Westworld at this point that, like, it almost felt like a totally different show to me.
Well, I don't know if
the underpinnings of the show, it moved beyond the show in the same way that, if you look at the movie, at the end of the movie, they were moving out, okay? This is
but then they did a sequel to the movie, which
Future World.
Sucked,
that's what this felt more like.
Future World, and that's what this felt like. I almost wish they would have called it like Westworld with a subtitle of Future World or something. Just, I don't know, because now, and I was actually wondering if this was the end of it, because it felt like maybe they could just stop after 3 seasons, but clearly by the end of it, they're planning on going forward with another season. So
right. But this is the world outside of Westworld. This is the world that everyone else was living in, that people were escaping when they went to Westworld. So, I found it interesting. I did like it. I think, like I said, I didn't go in expecting to understand it at all.
It's interesting to watch. It's certainly interesting to look at, but don't be so full of yourself that you need to tell a cleaner story. Come on.
But you know what, Todd? I also in the same way that I loved Legion, and I didn't have to fully understand it, but it was just so awesome, and I was just on for the ride. I can't quite get there with this show. Like I watched every episode, and it is amazing visually, but I feel like I need to understand this.
Legion never led you to believe it could be reconciled.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like I need to understand this, where I didn't feel like I needed to understand.
I totally agree.
Legion.
I think that, like I said, this is in almost a lost way. There's this kind of promise hanging out there that if you just hang on, this will all make sense eventually, and it doesn't.
Nope.
It really, really doesn't. And the other thing is, also one of the central themes in this is, like, you can't believe reality. So if you can't believe reality, why does anything that's on screen matter?
Right.
It's once they started injecting like virtual realities into this, it was just like, okay, yeah, now we're just watching. We're not trying to keep up. Again, I think, like I said, the technology stuff was really, really cool. I think they did great. The suitcase gun thing was so cool. The briefcase that you like flick and turn into it. That was great. I love the taxi designs were actually based on a design for an autonomous cab, which
the Johnny cab
only opens but unlike every other autonomous cab we've ever seen, there's only doors on one side of this. Why are the doors only on one side of this? Because it's always going to bring you to the curb. Okay? Because for liability purposes, it will never let you step out into traffic. So
That makes sense.
So it doesn't care about going around the block a second time, but it will always bring you to the curb, and unless there's a gunfight going on, apparently. But like I said, things like that are really cool. I love that. Like I said, I love the drone-ish helicopter things.
That makes perfect sense. I'm surprised they're not making them right now.
Yeah.
I just watched another Netflix movie this weekend that I won't recommend because it wasn't good, but it had similar kind of drone helicopters in it.
Yeah. I will say the stuff with her when they like reassembled her, that looked awesome. They did a really.
I wish
good.
I had that
Yeah.
suitcase of her.
Yeah.
I would like that.
A really, really good.
Well,
job.
and when
Though I
they
will
shot her
say,
arm off and stuff, I mean, that all
you would
looked
have
really
to
good.
put your upper arm on before you put your lower arm on, your lower arm skin on. That was just that she totally got assembled in the wrong order. But
She was showing off. Do we think she'll be back? I mean, she's
the actress will
sort
be
of
back. What the creators are now saying is that they're saying that Dolores, that incarnation of Dolores, is gone and will never be any more. But they said that does not necessarily end Rachel Evan Wood's association with the show, and that we look forward to having her back. So I don't know what that means, but
There's another suitcase I heard floating around.
Or there's a version of her in that weird afterlife thing that Bernard came back from at the very end.
Right.
I
think there'll be more of her, just not with her. Also interesting that, like I said, basically the three principal characters in this, other than what's his name, were all women that all came out of that park. Were basically female characters who drove the three separate subplots. That was interesting. Again, I think, like I said, visually, I give this like a 9, maybe a 9.5. Story-wise and logically, it's somewhere in the 5 to 6 range.
I totally agree with that. And I read an article. They really went all out looking for the right kind of feeling of architecture and stuff, and they really nailed that. So they did a great job of that. And
digitally removing everything that didn't fit, and adding the things that they added. I think they did a great job with that. It looked 40, 50 years in the future. I thought that was great. Did you watch the post-credit sequence?
Yes,
No.
That's what I was talking about with Bernard.
I didn't.
What's that?
What was it? I didn't see it.
Yeah, that was when they cut back to Bernard, right?
No, that's when we see the Man in Black again.
Oh, right. That's right. I'm thinking, I forgot about that. Yeah, there's a post-credit sequence with the Man in Black showing up at the company, and I don't remember the character's name, the African American actress, Valkyrie. Her character was
Charlotte.
waiting for him, and they kill the old version of him, and I guess a robot version of him comes out.
So basically, the Man in Black. So the guy comes in. And
You mean Ed Harris, Man in Black?
Ed Harris's character
Yeah.
comes in, confronts Charlotte. Okay, and then the Robo version of him, complete
In
and
all black.
intact. Okay, right down to the Lamat 9-shot revolver, comes out and they scuffle, and he ultimately gets killed. So
yeah,
Wait a
old Ed
second.
Harris fights old Ed
Charlotte's-
Harris.
Yep.
Charlotte's dead, though.
No, Charlotte's looking pretty ratty, but she's not dead.
Oh, the burnt up version of her. I'm gonna have to watch that.
This is
Yeah, she actually they reference that because she's got her whole arm is scarred, and he said something about you could have fixed that, and she's like, no, I want to remember the pain.
How long is this scene? This sounds like it's a long.
It's like a couple
post-credit
minutes.
scene.
It's like
it was
3
a
or
couple
4
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah, I mean they've had a post credit each year, so
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm lost by then. I don't know what the hell's going on. All right,
I'm with you on that too.
it doesn't help. It doesn't bring closure. It doesn't bring any. It's just yeah.
Anyway,
This
All right,
show could so easily be Blade Runner. Okay, it could be these things have released into the population. We've got to track them down. Are they real? Are they not real?
That's what I thought it was going to be.
That's too
That's
simple.
kind of what I was expecting this season to be.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Anyway.
I would have liked that more.
All right, tell us what you thought. Let us know.
Yeah.
If you have any clue that we don't know what's going on and you knew, let us know.
Yeah, if you want to explain it to us, go for it.
Feel free. Well, you come on the show.
Hey, I just want to spend a minute talking about one other show that wrapped up that I know neither of you watched, but I feel like it's a little tangential to this. So there's a show on...
Survivor?
No, that didn't wrap up yet. There's a show on IFC called Brockmire. It's 4th season, and this was the final season. Every season's been different, and it started out about a sportscaster whose life melts down, has nothing to do with the future or technology or anything. By the time we get to season 4, it's in a post-apocalyptic version of that world where the world is kind of ending. Climate change is taking over. It's too hot to go outside. This guy gets made the commissioner of baseball. He's asked to try to make baseball come back. But the weird thing is they do this big time jump, and there's this overarching technology called Lemon, which is supposed to be like an Alexa thing. It's this little lemon-shaped thing that you wear that's a personal assistant that they end up going to its like corporate office, and it's an AI that's like taking control of the world. It was so bizarre because this is a half-hour comedy, like raunchy comedy, but it went in this total direction that I would have never seen coming based on the first couple of seasons, and I really enjoyed it. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out there. I know, Todd, I've been telling you for a couple of years you need to watch this show. It's done now.
I might now. I might just do that because
knowing that this is where it goes, and this was the final. So that was a series finale. It's only 10 episodes a season. It's a quick watch, but I really enjoyed it because it was raunchy, just a raunchy comedy to start, and then it kind of evolved into something else. So
I respect the crazy. So
yeah,
interesting. All right, let's go. What's in the box?
Show you with the box. Who's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
I'm a little thin on what's in the box, but Todd, what do you got?
Okay, I have 3 massive volumes here that our friend Brian Mix suggested. These are the Voyages, TOS, Season 1, 2, and 3 by Mark Cushman. I love these books. Okay,
really?
I gotta say, I got them last week. The absolutely awesome. I've got a bunch of making of Star Trek books that Dave, you got some of the same books. I've read over the years. This breaks every episode down one at a time, has production notes, has comments by writers, people involved. It is an in-depth behind the scenes of the making of every episode, including like budget problems and like, we really like to do that, but we can't make that. Okay, this episode's going to cost too much. What could you do instead? That kind of thing. Cool. I thought originally I was going to like go through and just read it, start at the beginning and go through. There are a lot of pages here. These are like 650-page books.
4th volume.
Yeah, in 3 volumes. So what I'm doing instead is I'm reading an episode at a time by my favorite episodes and then rewatching the episode after I read what went into making it, which is one more way I can justify rewatching the original series in yet another order. So
that's cool.
It's Brian suggested doing that and doing it in production order, but great, super well researched.
This guy's very in-depth.
Very, very in-depth. More stuff than you can even imagine. But like I said, there's production memos, and there's all this kind of stuff in there. And like I said, and it's not like people, bitching at each other about this and that and the other. But it is, there's a lot of like, it's a great script, but it's too talky. We need to do this instead. We need to inject action in here. I just finished. I started with the... I said The Balance of Terror, okay, which was very problematic because they had to make a ship for that, and that was the first episode that they had to make another ship for, and some of the issues related to that, some of the budget stuff, all of the shots with the special effects and stuff like that, super costly. You look at that and you think this is largely a bottle episode, but it's not because they had to do the inside of the alien ship too, the whole thing with the Romulans wearing helmets because the ears were too expensive to make. That kind of stuff. It's really interesting to see it in kind of play out in real time. And I really like these. If you if you love Star Trek, if you're really into the making of stuff and you want a fresh look at it that's done really well, really comprehensively, I would also very strongly recommend these. Excellent
Can we
books.
hold one up? How are they as big as? Because I have the 4th volume that we talked about last week.
Yep.
That is after Star Trek. I'm just starting to read it.
And they're going to do 3 more volumes. Yeah, they're going to do this. That's the first of the second 3-volume sets. Yeah, these are like 600-700 pages ish.
Yeah.
And
wow.
There, like I said, there's a lot here. A lot of pictures. It's all black and white, but a lot of like uncommon production pictures. You know, like I was showing you guys earlier, the 2 prop handlers holding Nomad, putting it up onto the, basically demonstrating how the actors should put Nomad onto the transporter pad.
Yeah.
And things like that, which I said not as common, but really, like I said, super well done. Very, very, very pleased about it, and the dude can write. And
I was not
really
going to think about getting them because this one is so big. But now that you say that, I may, because I love that silver, the Making of Star Trek book.
Yeah, and this is what Dave. This is what I thought. Like I said, that is very whitewashed. Okay, and again, I read that as a kid. I loved it. Absolutely loved the book.
I still have my copy of it.
My first one disintegrated. I had to get another copy. I'd read it so many times. This is like that, but it's less glamorized and it's much more. I mean, they didn't talk about budget constraints in that book. They didn't talk about. This is, like I said. This is. You will love this because you've worked on a television show. You've been behind the curtain. You've seen all the production stuff.
That reminds me.
This is a couple of reviews of this I read said that this is probably the most detailed single study into the production of a TV series ever made.
It sounds a lot like the J.W. Rinsler Making of Star Wars books, how detailed it is. Now, those were the details of a movie that took 2 years to make. This is every episode, right? So it's even more
and this
in-depth.
is where every episode where, like for instance, and I'm sorry to go on this long about it, but like I said, I really like this. They had to hire these writers and directors and then explain the concept to them. We think of Star Trek as a thing that we just know and it exists. No episodes had aired by the time they were shooting the 5th and 6th episodes. So they had to bring people in and say, this is this is that, this is, and it is amazing how much shit actually lines up given the different writers, given different directors. I think Roddenberry had a lot to do with it. Gene L. Kuhn had a huge amount to do with it. Bob Justman. It's like I said, it's an amazing accomplishment and it's a totally different way of looking at it. And like I said, even having read those 2 huge tomes that we went through a couple of years ago, this is a much more under the hood perspective. Whereas those were kind of people witnesses to the event. This is the recipe book right here. So very good. So Barry,
Cool.
what do you got?
Wow.
So you guys we were joking last episode about how it was May the 5th or May the 4th rather, and I always would go out and buy Star Wars stuff, and there was nothing to buy. I came out of hibernation this week, and I actually went to a non-food store for the first time in over 2 months. We went to Target, which we went there to get food, so I had to go to the toy section just to see what they had, and I did find something that I guess was supposed to be a May the 4th toy that was out. This is a Black Series probe droid.
Oh, I like that.
And I
saw
almost
that.
held this up before because before we were recording, we were talking about a clear rod on a base to hold up something that looks like it's flying. That's exactly what this has. It's got a snow base and a clear rod that goes right into the bottom of it. And it's actually super detailed. I mean, I guess it's meant to be in scale with the 6-inch figures, which I don't collect, but it's superposable. All the legs are articulated. The top moves.
Whoa. How many 6-inch figures do you have?
Sold them all.
I sold most of them.
Oh, you did? Okay. I just know that you bought them. I didn't realize you'd sold them.
At one point in time, I had a lot. I still have a bunch that are in a box of things to sell, but
Okay.
none of them are on display.
So I guess it's the line between acquire and collect.
Yes.
Sorry.
Those are a collection that I'm trying to get rid of, although
I
this I
understand.
feel like is a standalone piece that
you don't want to keep Hoth Han if you have them.
I don't think I have Hoth Han. But this I feel like can just sit on my desk and it's kind of cool and it doesn't need to be
That is
one
great.
of many
I
things.
agree with that.
So
Is it
it's
metal?
No, it's not metal, but it looks. I mean, they did a good job. It's very.
I thought there was a
yeah.
die-cast one or something that came out.
I think there's one
'cause
from
I
the
did
Disney
read about
store.
Yeah.
I think there's a Disney store one that's metal.
that. Okay.
Is there some
But, I mean-
articulation to that, or is it?
Oh no, all of it. I mean, all the legs are articulated, all the
They
joints
are,
move,
okay.
and even like the lowest parts of the little grabber hands are articulated separately. The top turns. I mean, it's as articulated.
I
as
might
it can
actually
be.
need that thing. I got to say, I've spent a lot of time playing Star Wars Battlefield, and really, I never get past the shooting the probe droids. But yeah,
It's a
that's-
cool little toy, and I mean, it's a little pricey. It was $30, but I had to have it. So I hadn't bought a toy in a store in months. So
Okay.
it's not technically what's in the box, but it came in a box.
There you go.
so.
No, it came in a box.
Yeah.
That counts. That counts.
All right, Dave. What's your super thin?
I've
on
got
what's
nothing
in the box item?
really interesting, but this is the only thing I got. So I like flashlights. I like knives. And I also like mechanical pencils. I think I maybe talked about that. One of my favorites is the Pentel Twist Erase. This is a newer one. It's got an eraser and it's comfortable. But I always go back to, and if you guys, the old Pentel, it's the P7207. You know these?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got those.
So this this is how nerdy I am. I write in 0.7 millimeter lead. That's my lead of choice. 0.5. I think I've talked about this. 0.5 is breaks too much. 0.9. So 0.5 is black. 0.7 is blue. 0.9 is yellow. But they just came out with this 0.7s in all these metallic colors. You can get it's silver, copper, and gunmetal. So I thought that was very. So I bought those. that was
Oh, that's
came
cool.
from Amazon, but
And
I
is
do
that
like
what you
these
said
that-
took like 6 weeks to get to you?
No, these came quick. I got other stuff out there that's taken way too long to get, but so yeah, the Pentel Piece 207s. If you want them in different colors, they come in different colors now. Very boring. So
There you
boring
go.
that Todd left.
Yeah, Todd was like, "That's screw it, I'm out of here." All right, well, let's
Unless
wrap
he's
up the show
going
without
to
him.
get his mechanical pencil.
I got one more little add-on thing that I'm going to throw in here. Okay, and this is kind of a tip. I should probably save this for like when we do an RJ pick, but I'll forget by then. So I carry around a huge number of adapters. Okay, like USB adapters and the thing to convert your old iPhone headphones to your new iPhone headphones and all these different. I've got anyways well over a dozen little adapters kicking around in my bag. And I've tried every kind of pouch or little bag that you can possibly imagine. But the problem is you always have to empty everything out of those things. And I came up with an idea like 6 weeks ago when I was going through like my the fifth time I discovered I'd had something that I didn't think I had, and then I went and got another one and then discovered it was actually in my bag all along. This is a glasses case. Okay. Just an old school spring-loaded glasses case, which is awesome for all the adapters, thumb drives, and all the other stuff that is loose in your bag. Okay. So you can see all the stuff that I've got here. Okay. That's what I carry around. Okay. And it's spring-loaded. It closes quickly. You can open it with one hand if you have to, but you can see everything that's in there. You can fish around. You can find the things that you want. And then, I've got all manner of different things in there. And it's worked out really, really well. And it just goes into a pocket in my bag. And like I said, and it closes really tight. Also really good with pens. So
There you go. Pro tip there.
If you got multiple things like that just floating around your bag that are hard to find, it's a really good organizer. And like I said, they're like $6 on Amazon. And yeah, so... You feel like
Nice.
you feel like the gangster in Godfather opening the violin case and taking out the Tommy gun. It's like you whip it out and you put your thumb drives and stuff in there. So
There's something nerdier than pencils.
exactly. Yep.
Didn't think it was possible, but yet it is.
Exactly. I always ask last thoughts whether I know there's a last thought or not, and then invariably there isn't. But I have a last thought.
Okay.
Jerry Stiller
I was
passed
gonna
away
I was
this
gonna
week.
jump in there. Good.
Yeah. I had the pleasure of working with him on a TV series I worked with. A super nice man. He sent me a Christmas present one year. But everyone knows him from Seinfeld. He was also on King of Queens. He played the dad in both, but super funny guy. And there's no one saying a bad thing about him. It's just a nice guy, a great comedian. Just took like what could have been a smaller role in both those shows and was so funny and so sort of out there that it expanded them in both those shows, plus a million other things that he's did. So I'm happy that I got to meet him and work with him, and rest in peace, Jerry Stiller.
Great.
Yeah, he actually worked with Rush, believe it or not, on their 30th anniversary tour. He did. He was part of the opening film that they had that played before the concert, and it's hilarious. He's wearing a Rush shirt and he's doing all this stuff. It's yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I loved him on all those shows, and plus he's Ben Stiller's dad. And Stiller and Mira. I remember Stiller and Mira
Great
from when I was a kid.
Character actor, and
Yeah, I don't know
him
if
and Ann
she's
Mira
alive.
did actually a really good comedy routine themselves together in like the 60s and 70s.
For a long time, yeah.
Yep.
She yelled at me. I told this story on the show. Where I was driving her in a golf cart, and I put it in reverse, and it made the beeping sound. She started freaking out, yelling at me. But
that's why you got the
I
Christmas
just hit my
present,
mic.
because you
Sorry
realized you
about
had to,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
but Jerry,
You,
a good man.
lived a long life. So
Exactly, 92.
yeah.
Yep.
And with that, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.